You're listening to 3 Minute Marketing, where we interview the world's top growth marketing leaders and distill their knowledge into actionable, bite-sized insights. Now here's your host, Chris Mechanic.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 3 Minute Marketing. Today's guest is somebody that I'm super excited about. He's an award-winning entrepreneur. He was Forbes 30 under 30. Now he's CSQ's 40 under 40. Top 25 marketing influencers. He's an International Business Awards Entrepreneur of the Year. He's a thought leader. He's an author. He's a public speaker. He's CEO and co-founder of Hawke Media, which is a performance advertising firm. Ladies and gentlemen, Erik Huberman.
Thanks for having me, man.
Welcome to the show, Erik. Hey, so I'm super excited to talk to you. We're gonna dig in and dig deep. But you know this, you know the drill, you know the style. We're all about brevity here. It's 3 minutes. I know you got a book out, and I know that you've worked with over 4,000 brands. So I want to know in 3 minutes or less, what is it? What's your secret? How is it that you've helped 4,000 brands and counting?
Sure. So in 3 minutes, so we've just put out the book, The Hawke Method, which is kind of the general principles, but to distill it down into 3 minutes, how we look at marketing is again, 3 principles: awareness, nurturing, and trust. And what I've found is it's really important to think about these 3 things as a tripod when you're building out a marketing strategy, because what I see most people miss, and I'll go into the second thing people miss, I think I can fit it both into 3 minutes. This is part of what I do. So with awareness, nurturing, and trust, and the 3 principles of marketing, awareness is basically what do you do to create new awareness for your brand, for your product, for your service, and introduce new potential customers. A lot of people forget about this. I've seen many companies that are like, yeah, we're doing email marketing to our list and doing all these other things, but they're not actually building new audience. And by nature, you're going to be losing audience over time. You're going to lose people because they lose interest, they change priorities, they change economic, etc., or they die, frankly. Like there's a lot of reasons you lose people. So you have to constantly be refilling that bucket. That's awareness. Then you have nurturing. And nurturing is what you do with that awareness. The thing I would mention that I wanted to talk about, the biggest thing marketers miss is the idea of a purchase cycle, or also known as a consideration period. So from the time I see an ad to the time I buy takes time. It's not, and we always love to say like 9 women can't have a baby in a month. It's not how it works.
Right.
And so basically when you're advertising, a lot of people measure their marketing on an week by week, day by day basis. That's not accurate, because what we've seen, especially e-commerce, we have all the numbers and data. For a $50 average order, it's about a 3-week purchase cycle. For $100 is about 4 weeks, $200 is about 5 weeks, and then it trails off between 2 and 3 months, depending on the size.
Wow.
And so if you're not doing things to nurture that audience, you're not going to convert. So you got to do things like email, SMS, create content, all that. The last pillar, trust, synonymous with brand, is basically 75% of consumers won't purchase from a company they don't trust. And so you need to do things in the beginning when you haven't built a brand, like third-party validation. So testimonials, reviews, PR, all these things that help people build their trust with you. And then over time, your trust comes from your brand, which I'd say is what you're consistent about, what you deliver. And your brand can be good or bad. You take McDonald's, they're known for fast. They're known, you think it's going to taste the same all over the world generally, but it's also super unhealthy. That's all things people trust is going to happen with McDonald's. And that's what they've built. And Zappos did customer service. And there's a few tricks there too. Talking about what you want to be does actually help. If you say, like Zappos, you write a book about customer service and talk about how much you care about customer service, you still have to have good customer service, but people are also going to be looking for a confirmation bias if you're doing it right. So that's a big part of it as well. So awareness, nurturing, and trust, 3 pillars of marketing. I'm going to give you back 10 seconds.
That's amazing. I love that. We're going to dig deep. We're going to dig deep into each of those pillars. And I want to just hear about your story because I'm really fascinated by you. But there you have it. If you're a brand and if you're growing, you have to have awareness. Without that, you have no business. Once you're bringing people into this funnel, they're not going to not everybody's going to plop down $100 right there on the table on the first day. Like you got to nurture them out a little bit. And then first and foremost, build trust, or not first, I guess third, build trust. But, and I liked your McDonald's example because it's like, hey, McDonald's is not trying to sell themselves as the most healthy in the world. They're selling themselves as it's going to be the same and it's going to be delicious, and bring your kids for a Happy Meal with Ronald McDonald. So I love that, Eric. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap here. Eric and I are going to continue our conversation, so you can continue watching in the show notes. You'll find a link in the show notes. But Eric, let us know. Tell us about the book. Tell us about Hawke. Like, give us your plug.
Yeah, so Hawke Media, been around 8.5 years. We are about 300 people, manage marketing currently for about 600 brands, but as mentioned, it's been over 4,000 over the past 8.5 years. We basically built this company because we were sick of seeing how much snake oil there was in the marketing world and wanted to create something where we're the best at what we do, but also super easy to work with, because that's what we found were agencies that were good, went up market, wanted long contracts, high minimums, et cetera, and just didn't like the whole ecosystem. And so yeah, we basically go into brands, identify where the holes are in their marketing strategy, and then we spin up different experts a la carte month to month. Could be a Facebook marketer, email marketer, web designer, fractional CMO, et cetera. And that's the core business. We also have we have our second venture fund now. It's a $50 million fund. We've got a financing arm where we do debt financing for our clients that are struggling with working capital. We have a big software announcement coming next month, but we're building basically a marketing AI platform that we've been working on for 7 years, and finally coming to market with it. And then, as mentioned before, I wrote a book called The Hawke Method, which is what we've done to grow these brands. And again, I just gave the very, very high level notes on how that works, but I found myself talking about it with our clients at conferences, et cetera, for years, and got, kind of kicked in the butt to write a book and realized I could put this on paper.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're going to unpack all of that. Stay tuned. There should be a link somewhere above, below in the show notes. Eric, thank you very much. This has been really, really useful. Stay on the line. How do you get 4,000 brands in less than 8 years? That means that you've been getting basically 500 brands per year, right?
Yep.
To work with you, which is
right.
basically that's like 40 some new ones each month.
Yeah, our best month we've gotten 80 to 90 new brands to work with us.
Dang, how are you doing that?
So I guess there's two parts of it. It's how do you attract them, and then how do you actually handle that? Which the attracting part, I've just from the beginning, I had my eyes set on how do I build all the credibility in the world for this, but put no barrier to entry up. And so again, being month to month, a la carte, cost effective, all these things, that part puts up no barrier. That was super critical. But then how do we actually deliver and do what we say we do? Let's be the best marketers out there. And so thankfully I had a background in successfully I'd built and sold 2 e-commerce companies and knew what I was doing, and worked at Science and advised for Dollar Shave Club and did all these things that I had a background where I knew how this worked. And so sadly, that separates me from 99% of marketers right there. People during the past 8 years, most marketing agencies were started by people that watched too many Gary Vaynerchuk videos, and or Ty Lopez, even worse. I like Gary Vaynerchuk. I shouldn't even compare the two. Gary's great. Some of his audience gets a little crazy. Ty, I'm not a big fan of. And so you end up with all these guys that are launching digital agencies because there's no barrier to entry for them. And so just by knowing what you're doing, you separate yourself from a huge portion. And so then you have this small group of agencies that are actually know what they're doing, still got to get your name out there. And so we drank our own punch. We marketed the hell out of ourselves, built relationships, partnerships, built a sales team, and got our name out there constantly, while also building credibility, while getting tons of case studies, getting testimonials, getting awards, just doing everything we can to continue to show very publicly how we work. And I talk about it because it's fun. If you go to our Google reviews, I think we have 4 bad reviews on Google, and we'll get asked about it. Like, hey, listen, I saw your Google reviews. There's some bad ones in there. I'm like, we've worked with 4,000 brands. 4 people didn't like us. I'll take it. I'd love to bat 1,000. I don't expect to. And so, so we just were, that's the nice thing about this business, is it is very reputation driven. And to this day, I thankfully get people all the time that hear our reputation. We're really easy to work with, and we're the best at what we do. And so that messaging, then when you come across people, we didn't do any real outbound until the pandemic, really. So prior to that, it was all, let's throw events, let's do our own let's do advertising, let's put our name out there, let's get a lot of PR, let's get a lot of partnerships. Let's do everything we can to make sure people are aware we exist. And then they'll come to us. And that happened a lot. And frankly, our best sales month to date is still pre-pandemic. And then when the pandemic hit, a lot of our strategy was around events and being out and about. And so we shifted. And so we added outbound selling, and went a little more aggressive at that. And frankly, it worked for a little while. And then that's not the best marketing channel for this kind of a thing. You get a cold call here or a cold email like, hey, we can do your marketing. You're like, who the fuck are you? Right. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
They don't close at nearly the rate.
Nowhere close. And it's a lot of time sink too. So the efficiency goes way down as well. And so, yeah.
Are you guys back to in-person events now?
Yeah. And really ramping it up. We kind of currently lighting a fire under the ass of our sellers, because the ones that have been here since pre-pandemic remember and are going back to it. And the ones that weren't were trained in this whole different system that frankly doesn't really work anymore. So we shifted really well into the pandemic. We're now shifting back is kind of the idea. Not saying that
do you work only with e-commerce or mostly with e-commerce, or
I'd say the small majority. So like, yeah, we're probably over 50% e-com, but we have a ton, again, we're 600 customers. So we have a ton of financial services, hospitality, SaaS businesses. No one missing category, just CPG in general, not just e-com. So we run the gamut, honestly, in terms of clients.
You guys are really impressive, man. You're doing it up. You got a book. You got a huge team. So just to give the listeners here some context. So you guys have been around for 8 years. You're 300 people. We've been around for 13 years and we're like 70 people. You know, not to say that the count of people is the only measurement stick, but I'm just really impressed that in such a short period of time, you've been able to build such a large team and having impacted so many brands. I think year to date, we've probably worked with under 1,000 total brands. We have 60 active clients right now, but it's under 1,000. So that's amazing, dude. By any measurement, like golf clap for you, dude. Like that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, our mission is accessibility to great marketing for everyone. Like that, we're trying to make it so that we're again the best at what we do, but super easy to work with, and that accessibility is a big part of us. And why I say that is, I always hear like, you know, agencies love to brag about like turning down clients, picking their clients, firing clients. Like there's this almost ego around it, where I'm like, I don't want to be a gatekeeper. Like, don't get me wrong. The one rule we have is we don't work with assholes. Like, I'm not here to like put my people through a nightmare. But at the same time, like, I'm not here to dictate or judge what someone's dream or product or service or company is. Like, if we can help, we're going to help. And we're going to do everything we can. And so we're going to build that's part of, and I mentioned that earlier when you said, how did you handle that? Like onboarding 40 clients, 50 clients, 60 clients, 80 clients, 90 clients a month is, you know, takes a whole process that we've had to build out over the years. And it takes productizing what we do so that it's really easy to get going, hit the ground running, and help someone with their search or Facebook or whatever it is. So that's been a big part of this, is how do we make this super easy for companies that are like, I built this thing, now what? They can come to us. Or I've built this thing, I got to this level and I'm stuck, or my team just bailed on me, what do I do? Or like, hey, we've gotten to this level, but we have no idea how to get to the next one. And we've grown companies now from many times from nothing to multi-billion-dollar companies, that we basically have a playbook for every stage.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So talk to me a little bit about your challenges. What are you struggling with, or what are you working on right now?
Yeah, I mean, this year is unique. The shifts in Facebook advertising, Facebook, it's funny, it's a weird animal right now because people didn't stop buying products off of Facebook. Facebook's tracking just changed because of iOS changes. And so messaging that and coaching our clients turned into be a real bear. And so we generally dipped from Q4 to Q1, but we dipped more than we usually do and had to adjust to that. So we've had to play a little triage. We had some internal executive problems that we had to deal with as well this year. So slowed us down on growth, but we've grown, as you mentioned, so fast the past few years. This year became more of a simplify and integrate year. We bought 4 companies between August and February of this year. And basically since February, March, it's been more about like shoring things up, getting things in a place where we can build a new stable ground to build off of. So this is one of the few years that we're not looking for massive growth. We're looking for almost stability. At the same time, you have this sort of looming economic situation that we're watching. So it's kind of good timing to be like, hold on, let's take a pause. Let's not overinvest in growth, and let's make sure that we're doing things right day to day.
Totally. How's the pandemic and the remote life treating you? Are you guys all remote still, or are you requiring people to come back?
That ship has sailed. We have people in Philippines, China, Canada, both sides, UK, and 41 different states. So getting them all into an office would be a little difficult.
Yeah. So, what about your headquarters? Or do people still go? Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
So you just don't have it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. We mostly work from home. We got WeWork for everyone. Like, I think out of 300 people, 5 people use it. So we're not sure we're going to keep that. And people like working from home. And I would say we're doing really well with it. Training has become like, what I've noticed is, as you know, we've hired a lot of new people. When we started the pandemic, we were 126 people. So like grew a lot. And all the people that were here pre-pandemic got in-person training, there was a lot of nuance found, et cetera. And so now we're finding that we have to be so much more intentional with training and development remote than you do in person. There's no osmosis, et cetera. So we're on the service side, it seems to be that we figured that out and we have people doing a really good job. On the sales side, it's kind of our new challenge, is all these salespeople that were brought up during remote work. We're realizing that now that as we mentioned, we're going back into in person and we're changing the strategy. It's a little harder to get everyone to like just pivot right away. So we're having to do a little more training to get that. But honestly, way more benefits and costs.
Yeah, totally. So what does your executive team look like? So you're the co-founder and CEO, or are you like the visionary, or are you more of like the integrator?
No, I have my other co-founder is the integrator. So I got an integrator that's, title is president now. It was COO and then moved to president. We've got currently we have a head of revenue, head of services, head of finance, head of HR, head of partnerships, head of sales, and that is pretty much the leadership team. I feel like I might be missing someone, but
do you use EOS?
No.
Oh, have you heard of EOS?
Yeah, I've heard of EOS, but we haven't used any outside sort of systems. We figured out kind of what works for us and continue to shift in the way that we find it to work.
Yeah, that's where that language of like visionary and integrated comes
from. Yeah, got it. And I've heard that 100 times, and thankfully found my integrator from the beginning.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you guys started together?
I had it go. It was just me. Then I brought on an assistant. Then I hired a couple people and then brought him on. And then right away, he took over like the operational side and was like, just go build it, sell it, like go figure out how we're going to grow. And that was like 2 weeks into him starting, and it was like, okay, great. And been a fun ride, because that is, you want to talk about like the nuance of why we grew so fast, that I didn't have to worry about the day-to-day at all. I just got to go out. Like everyone's like, I got to work on my business. I'm like, I never had to work in. The few times I do, including this year when we're going through sort of this transition, drives me nuts. I am not an integrator at any means. I want to go out and grow and build and know that things are handled.
And what do you spend most of your time doing? You spend mostly on sales, promotional type stuff?
So it generally breaks down into 3 categories, and it's about a third. So it's a third promotional, being on podcasts, writing the book, speaking at events, being out and about. That's about a third of my time. About a third of my time is growth and expansion. So including working with the sales team and the marketing team, but also M&A. Also, how do we expand into other like our venture fund, our capital arm, our software arm, like all the other things we do to grow the business. And then about a third of my time strategically with the exec team.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're almost out of time here, but I'm really enjoying this. I want to have you back on the show if you will come.
Of course.
The last thing, I want to just switch gears briefly, and this won't be long, but talk to me about like just who Erik, like take me back to Erik the kid. Like, how did you become who you are? For the people listening here that are younger, that are aspiring, that are growing, like how did you take me through a brief chronology of of your upbringing and just how you became Erik Huberman?
Yeah, I wanted to be a rock star from when I was like 4 years old. I was given a guitar and was like, that's it. The only other Eric I knew of was Eric Clapton. So I'm like, I guess I got to be a guitarist. So, but when I went to buy my first electric guitar, I was 8. I told my dad I wanted an electric guitar, and his response was, "Good, get a fucking job." I was like, and by the way, you as an adult, you hear that, you're like, "You crazy?" As an 8-year-old, when your dad tells you that, you're like, "Yeah, okay." Like, you don't take that as a shitty thing to say. You're like, just like, okay. So I started trying to figure out how to work, and I sold flowers, sold lemonade, and then I got into the Beanie Baby craze when I was 8, and made $4 grand off buying and selling Beanie Babies as an 8-year-old, and went,
Really?
yeah. And bought the guitar. I also bought a BMX and saved some money for a car, and then when I was about 12, all my friends started playing guitar, and they were all better than me immediately, and I just realized I was not a good guitarist. I enjoyed it, it was fun, but I was not good at it. So then I started thinking, well, maybe I'll get into the music business. And I also at that time watched Behind the Music with Sting with my mom, and he got ripped off for like $25 million. And I was like, how? She's like, he didn't understand business. I'm like, okay, so business is really important as a musician. So started getting more of the idea of business. Well, it was always in the back of my head because the Beanie Baby thing, I also, like, at 6 years old, grabbed a bunch of my parents' stuff and tried to sell it door to door because I just wanted to make some money. Like, no idea what I was going to use that money for. But like, my dad had always implanted, my dad was an entrepreneur. He always implanted that money side of things in me. And then throughout high school, I thought I was going to go into music business school at Berklee School of Music in Boston. And then my dad was a real estate and waste management guy. And I worked in his office I think it was my junior year, and worked a little bit with one of his guys to learn what real estate investing was. And I liked it. So I was like, maybe I'll just go to business and keep music as a hobby. And so I went to University of Arizona in business school. And first summer I worked for my dad, realized I could never do that again. Loved him, but I was the oldest. He was so concerned I'd be like a spoiled rich kid because he was pretty successful, that he like went the other way and everything had to be way harder than it even should be. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And so then I got a job in sales selling Cutco, found out that I was really good at sales. So decided, and I really did like real estate. So I decided maybe I'll get into real estate sales and be an agent, and went into commercial real estate out of college 1 week before the entire banking industry collapsed in 2008. Literally the week to the day before Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. So made $350 that year, went, this isn't working, and ended up, I'm going to try to turn a long story short, ended up starting an online music company that was basically like masterclass for the music business, targeting independent musicians to learn how to make money. Did that for 2 years, realized it was never going to be massive. It was profitable, but hired a CEO to take over. Went off and started one of the first e-com subscription companies called Swag of the Month. Built that for a year, sold it, and then joined Science, the incubator that launched Dollar Shave, etc. Advised for their portfolio companies, ended up helping them launch an activewear brand, which we sold a year later to Bowie Total Fitness. That's when I spun out and started consulting, which led to Hawke. Long path. Yeah.
Dude, that's an amazing story, man.
Thank you.
Like, starting really young. You started super young.
Yeah.
And made money on, you said you were 6 years old or 8 years old making money on Beanie Babies?
8 with Beanie Babies, 6 selling my parents' stuff. So my dad asked for that when I was like, I think it was like 4 and 5. My dad started like getting me excited about the idea of getting a bigger dollar bill. So like I had $1, and then I got up to $5 and I traded him for a $5 bill. And then I saved up to $10 and traded him for 10. And I was like picking pennies in the street. Like, that's how he wasn't giving me anything. It was just, and so over time I ended up with like a $50 bill, like I think it took a year, like, but the intrinsic value of the excitement of just that new milestone for me was really exciting. Yeah. So I started getting into making money, but I thought of it as a way to be a musician. But then again, I still have 2 guitars sitting behind me, and a ukulele, but so it's still play, but I'm still not that good.
And that's so funny. You were like, I realized I sucked at guitar. And then you went to try to study the music business, but then you were like, oh, I'll just go into regular business instead. Yeah. Like, that's cool.
And my parents were good about it. They never dissuaded me of like if your kid tells you, when they start to get older and they're still saying, I want to be a musician, and you see how a musician struggle, like, that's painful as a parent. But they didn't say, don't do it. They're like, why don't you have a backup plan? Maybe like study business or something just in case. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, they never just argued with me. It was just like, yeah, maybe have both just in case. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you had some awesome parents, man. And I know that you're expecting one, and I'm sure that you'll be an awesome dad as well.
Appreciate
to your daughter.
That. Thank you.
But dude, stay in touch. Let's wrap here.
Cool.
I want to give you one more chance to say anything that you want about Hawke or about the book or anything. But I really enjoyed this, and I would love to have you back
Awesome.
maybe sometime next year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so let everybody know there's people listening. They probably are interested to learn more about you or your story. Where do they go? What do they do?
Yeah, I mean, hawkemedia.com is easy. It's HAWKE, or you can find me on any social at @or/Erik Huberman. So pretty accessible by nature.
Nice. I love that, Erik. All right, my man. Well, happy Friday. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. We will be in touch very soon.
Sounds good.
All right.